Have you ever wondered if you would receive a distress call from an island that officially didn't exist? Not an abandoned island, not a military island, an island so ancient that every person who ever stepped onto its shores simply disappeared. No bodies, no survivors, no wreckage, only silence. For more than 200 years, sailors whispered about a place hidden somewhere beyond the North Atlantic fog, where compasses spun endlessly, radios dissolved into static, and time itself seemed to behave differently. Most historians dismissed the stories as myths invented by exhausted sailors, until one classified search mission recovered something impossible. A modern rescue boat, completely intact, floating hundreds of miles away. Its engine was still running, its food was still warm, its emergency lights were still flashing. But every single person on board had vanished without leaving behind even a single footprint. What investigators discovered inside that vessel would trigger one of the strangest maritime investigations ever imagined. Because on the captain's desk sat a freshly written journal. The final sentence contained only 7 chilling words. "The island lets people enter, never leave." Nobody knows who wrote those words, because according to every official record, the writer had disappeared 3 days earlier. The Atlantic Ocean has always guarded secrets that humanity could never fully explain. Entire fleets vanished without storms. Merchant ships drifted across open water with meals still waiting on dinner tables. Ancient maps marked islands that no satellite has ever confirmed. Some disappeared forever. Others, according to scattered stories, only appeared when the sea wanted them to. Among all those legends, none frightened sailors more than one forgotten name, Ashveil Island. It never appeared on commercial navigation systems. No government officially claimed ownership. No tourism agency listed it. No scientific expedition successfully documented it. Yet stories about Ashveil stretched back centuries. In 1819, a British merchant captain reported seeing black cliffs rising directly out of thick white fog. He ordered 12 sailors to investigate while the ship remained offshore. The small landing boat reached the beach. Every crew member watched the men pull the boat onto the sand. They waved, they laughed, then they walked toward the forest. None of them ever returned. The captain waited until sunrise before sending another rescue team. The second group disappeared too. Terrified, the ship immediately abandoned the area. When the captain later described the incident, many believed stress had affected his mind. Years later, another vessel recorded almost the same event, then another, then another. Each account described different people, different decades, different nationalities, but always the same ending. People entered, nobody returned. By the late 19th century, experienced sailors quietly began changing their routes whenever unusually thick fog covered that region of the Atlantic, not because maps warned them, because older captains did. Around ports from Newfoundland to Maine, old fishermen repeated a simple rule to young crews before every long voyage. If the ocean suddenly becomes silent, turn around. Most laughed, until strange disappearances slowly transformed old stories into something much darker. In 1938, an American research vessel conducting deep-water geological surveys reported unexpected radio interference lasting nearly 4 hours. Their final transmission sounded calm. Visual contact with unknown island, preparing shore investigation. Nothing followed.
Weeks later, another ship discovered their floating equipment several miles away. Every scientific instrument remained untouched. Their engines functioned perfectly. Their coffee was still sitting inside metal cups. Their notebooks remained open. 21 scientists gone. The United States Coast Guard searched for weeks. Nothing. No wreckage, no storm damage, no distress signal. Official reports blamed severe weather, despite satellite archives showing unusually calm seas during that period. The case faded into forgotten government archives, at least publicly. Decades passed. Technology improved. Satellites covered nearly every ocean. Radar mapped coastlines with astonishing precision. Many believed mysterious disappearing islands belonged only to old legends. Then, in October 2023, everything changed. A commercial cargo ship crossing the North Atlantic intercepted an emergency beacon unlike any signal operators had ever heard. It repeated the same message every 30 seconds. "This is Rescue Team 7. Request immediate extraction. We found the island. Don't let anyone land." Then screaming. Then silence. The transmission repeated for almost 9 hours. Authorities quickly traced the signal, but there was one impossible problem. The coordinates pointed toward empty ocean. Modern satellite imagery showed absolutely nothing. No island, no rocks, nothing. Assuming the beacon had malfunctioned, officials still dispatched a multinational rescue operation. When helicopters reached the location, pilots reported seeing only dense fog. Navigation systems malfunctioned. GPS shifted randomly. Several pilots later admitted they briefly saw cliffs beneath the clouds. Others insisted there was only water. Radar operators couldn't agree. Each screen displayed something different. One helicopter crew immediately turned back after every electronic system failed simultaneously. Another continued forward. Minutes later, radio communication ended. Search aircraft eventually located their helicopter floating on calm water. It had landed perfectly. Its fuel tanks remained half full. Doors stood open. Inside, not a single person remained. There were no signs of panic, no blood, no struggle, no damaged equipment. Only one unusual detail. Someone had scratched a sentence on the cockpit window from the inside. "We should never have followed the voices." Investigators could never identify whose handwriting it was, because every crew member had disappeared. Official statements blamed equipment failure. Privately, experienced investigators began comparing the incident with hundreds of forgotten maritime reports stretching back more than 2 centuries. Patterns slowly emerged. Every disappearance occurred during unusually heavy fog. Every missing group had willingly walked inland. Every abandoned vessel remained strangely undamaged, and almost every surviving written account mentioned one disturbing detail. The island never looked exactly the same twice. Sometimes its cliffs appeared black, sometimes white, sometimes covered with forests, sometimes completely barren, as if the island itself changed depending on who saw it. Most scientists rejected such conclusions until one historian uncovered something hidden inside the archives of a retired lighthouse keeper in Nova Scotia. The documents included weather journals dating back to 1884. Almost every page discussed ordinary tides, storms, fishing boats, and migrating whales, but one entry had been written entirely in red ink. It was dated September 17. Today, the sea became silent. Birds disappeared. The fog arrived without wind. At sunset, I saw an island where no island should exist. Below that sentence appeared a rough hand-drawn sketch: towering cliffs, a narrow beach, and a massive stone arch standing near the shoreline. The exact same stone arch would later appear in photographs recovered from modern rescue missions more than 100 years later. No one could explain how. The mystery had stopped being just a legend. Someone or something was waiting beyond that fog, and before anyone realized it, another expedition was already preparing to sail toward the place that should never have existed.
Inspired by real maritime legends, unexplained disappearances, and historical island mysteries, this story is a work of fiction. The research vessel RV Horizon departed before sunrise under complete radio silence. Officially, the mission was described as an oceanographic survey. Unofficially, every person on board knew why they were really there. The crew had been selected from different fields: marine biologists, historians, geologists, survival experts, former U.S. Coast Guard officers, satellite engineers, and one psychologist who specialized in extreme isolation. None of them believed in haunted islands. None of them believed supernatural stories. They believed in evidence, and they intended to find it. Before leaving port, the expedition leader, Dr. Nathan Carter, gathered everyone inside the briefing room. He placed dozens of old photographs across the table. Every picture came from a different decade, different cameras, different countries, different investigations. Yet each image contained exactly the same object: a gigantic stone arch standing beside the ocean. Every photograph showed the arch from a different angle, but experts confirmed the weathering patterns matched perfectly. It was the same structure. The disturbing part: modern satellites had never captured it. It simply didn't exist, or at least, it wasn't supposed to. 3 days into the voyage, nothing unusual happened. The Atlantic remained calm. The sky stayed clear. The radar displayed empty water for hundreds of miles. Several crew members quietly joked that 2 centuries of terrifying stories had been created by sailors who spent too much time alone at sea. Then, at exactly 4:17 a.m. on the 4th morning, every sound disappeared. Not became quieter, disappeared. The ship's engines were still running, the propellers were still turning, but nobody could hear them. Crew members stared at one another in confusion. Someone shouted across the deck. No voice came out. His mouth moved, nothing else. Panic spread instantly. After nearly 30 seconds, sound returned all at once. Engines roared, alarms screamed, people covered their ears. One engineer later described it as if the ocean itself had muted reality. At that exact moment, the fog appeared. Not drifting toward the ship, not rolling across the water. It formed around them. Within less than 60 seconds, visibility dropped below 20 meters. GPS froze, satellite phones disconnected. Every compass began spinning endlessly. Then, the lookout screamed, "Land!" Everyone rushed toward the bow. Emerging from the white fog stood enormous black cliffs rising hundreds of feet above the sea. Nobody had seen them appear. They simply were there. Dr. Carter immediately ordered drones into the air. 6 drones lifted off simultaneously. Their live video feeds transmitted perfectly for exactly 42 seconds. The cameras showed dense forest, ancient stone ruins, and something that made every scientist fall silent. Thousands of perfectly straight stone pillars stretched deep into the island's interior, far too symmetrical to be natural.
Then every video feed turned white, connection lost. None of the drones ever returned. Despite the failures, Carter made the decision history had warned against for more than 200 years. They would land. 2 inflatable boats carried 12 expedition members toward the beach. The sand appeared untouched. No footprints, no shells, no birds, no insects, nothing. Even the waves sounded strangely quiet. The first person to step ashore planted a small American expedition marker into the sand. A geologist immediately collected rock samples. The results shocked him. The volcanic rock appeared millions of years older than any surrounding Atlantic seabed. It was geologically impossible. The island should not exist in that location. While researchers documented the shoreline, historian Emily Brooks noticed something partially buried beneath the sand. She carefully brushed it clean. It was a rusted compass. Its glass had cracked decades earlier. Scratched on the back were 3 words: still walking inland. The date beneath them read, everyone froze. That was the same year the American research vessel had disappeared. The compass belonged to someone officially declared dead nearly 90 years earlier. Yet the metal showed surprisingly little corrosion, almost as if time had barely touched it. Ignoring growing anxiety, the expedition continued toward the forest. The trees looked ancient. Many exceeded 20 feet in circumference. Their bark felt unusually smooth. There were no birds nesting in the branches, no insects crawling on leaves, no animal tracks, nothing, except the explorers. One marine biologist suddenly stopped walking. He stared into the trees. "Did you hear that?" Nobody answered. He slowly walked away from the group. "Someone called my name." Everyone insisted they had heard nothing. Dr. Carter ordered him back immediately. He obeyed. But 20 minutes later, the same thing happened again. This time, another team member heard her late mother's voice whispering from deeper inside the forest. Several others admitted hearing familiar voices too. Parents, children, friends, people who had died years ago. The psychologist quickly recognized the danger. No one follows any voice, no matter who you think it is. The warning came too late. One photographer quietly stepped away while everyone examined ancient stone carvings. Less than 60 seconds before someone noticed he was gone. His camera lay on the ground, still recording. The team immediately watched the footage. The final video showed the photographer smiling peacefully while walking into dense fog between the trees, towards someone the camera never captured. His last words were barely audible. "I've been waiting for you." Then static. No scream, no struggle, just disappearance. Search teams spread across the forest. Nothing. Not a footprint, not a broken branch. It was as if the island had erased him. As evening approached, the team discovered the enormous stone pillars seen by the drones. There were thousands. Each stood nearly 15 feet tall. Each had strange symbols carved on its surface. Linguists compared the markings with ancient Norse, Celtic, Phoenician, and indigenous Atlantic symbols. None matched. Yet every expert strangely agreed on one thing. The carvings resembled names, thousands and thousands of names. Suddenly, Emily gasped. She recognized one, not from history, from the missing crew manifest of the 1938 expedition. Another pillar matched the surname of a sailor who vanished in 1819. Another matched one of the helicopter pilots lost in 2023. Every missing person had a pillar. No birth dates, No death dates, only names. As darkness fell, the expedition established a temporary camp beside the enormous stone arch photographed for over a century. Thermal cameras detected no wildlife. Motion sensors remained silent. The ocean beyond the cliffs looked perfectly calm. Too calm. That night, no one slept. At exactly 2:13 a.m., every flashlight switched off simultaneously. Backup batteries failed. Night vision goggles stopped working. Only the moon illuminated the ruins. Then, footsteps. Hundreds of them. Slow, steady, coming from every direction. The team formed a defensive circle. The sounds grew closer, 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 but nobody appeared. The footsteps stopped only a few feet away. Silence returned. Then the psychologist whispered, "We're not alone." Dr. Carter slowly aimed his infrared camera toward the darkness. The screen revealed something invisible to the naked eye. Dozens, then hundreds of human-shaped figures stood silently around the camp. None moved, none breathed. They simply watched. When Carter looked up with his own eyes, there was nothing there.
He looked back at the monitor. The figures had moved closer. One stood less than 3 feet away. Its face looked exactly like the photographer who had disappeared earlier that afternoon. Then every camera screen went black. At sunrise, the camp looked normal again. The invisible figures were gone, but something else had changed. 5 members of the expedition had vanished during the night. Their sleeping bags remained zipped shut. Their boots still stood beside them. Their watches continued ticking. It was as if they had simply ceased to exist. Dr. Carter finally gave the order everyone feared. "Abort the mission. We leave now." The surviving members grabbed their equipment and ran toward the shoreline. But when they reached the beach, their boats were gone. The tide had not carried them away. The ropes remained tightly tied to the wooden posts. Only the boats themselves had disappeared. And carved in the wet sand, in letters no wave seemed willing to erase, was a message that none of them had written.
Inspired by real maritime legends, unexplained disappearances, and historical island mysteries, this story is a work of fiction. The message carved into the sand remained untouched. You were never invited, you were chosen. No one spoke. The surviving members simply stared at the words while the Atlantic waves rolled toward the shore and stopped. The water never crossed the sentence. It was as if the ocean itself refused to erase it. Dr. Nathan Carter looked behind him. The jungle stood perfectly still. No wind, no birds, no movement. Yet every instinct in his body told him they were being watched. 7 people had landed. Only 4 remained. Their boats had vanished. Their radios produced nothing except bursts of distorted whispers. One engineer tried transmitting a distress signal anyway. Static answered. Then a calm voice emerged from the speaker. "We've been waiting." It wasn't any member of the team. The transmission immediately died. Panic spread through the survivors. For the first time since landing, Carter abandoned every scientific protocol. "Forget the equipment, we move." The group followed the coastline, hoping to find another place to launch an emergency flare. Instead, they found something impossible. An old wooden dock extended into the water. Tied beside it floated dozens of abandoned boats. Some were centuries old, others were modern rescue vessels. One carried faded U.S. Coast Guard markings. Another matched the model of the helicopter rescue craft reported missing in 2023. A weathered lifeboat bore the name of the British merchant ship whose crew vanished in 1819. Every missing expedition, every failed rescue had somehow left part of itself behind. The boats were empty, but not abandoned. Food remained on tables, engines still contained fuel, lanterns hung exactly where their owners had left them. It looked less like a graveyard and more like everyone simply stood up and walked away together. Emily climbed aboard one of the newer boats. Inside, she found a waterproof locker. Within it sat dozens of journals. Each belonged to a different expedition, different handwriting, different languages, different centuries, but every diary ended with the same horrifying realization. The island doesn't kill us, it keeps us. One notebook belonged to the missing photographer from their own expedition. Impossible. He had disappeared less than 24 hours earlier. Emily opened it with trembling hands. Only one page had been written. I can finally see them. The next page was blank. She looked around. No one else seemed surprised anymore. It was as if exhaustion had slowly replaced fear. Then Carter noticed something carved on the dock itself. Thousands of tiny marks, one line, then another, then another. A survival expert counted the spacing. Someone had been marking days. The scratches stretched nearly the entire dock. Estimated total, almost 70,000. Almost 200 years. Someone had survived here for generations. Before anyone could react, a weak voice echoed across the bay. Don't answer if they call your name. The team spun around. Standing beneath the stone arch was an old man with long white hair and a weathered face. His clothes were patched together from uniforms belonging to different eras. A 19th century sailor's coat, a World War II life vest, modern hiking boots. He looked impossible, yet undisputably real. No one spoke. The old man smiled sadly. I've waited a very long time to see new faces. He introduced himself as William Harris, a British sailor. According to him, he had landed on the island in... Silence fell. Emily whispered, "That's impossible." William simply laughed. "I've said those exact words for more than 200 years. He explained that everyone who entered Ashveil Island experienced time differently. One person might live a week, another a lifetime. Outside the island, only hours could pass. No one aged normally, no one escaped. Not because the island imprisoned their bodies, it slowly erased their desire to leave. The voices in the forest were never ghosts, they were memories. The island searched every visitor's mind. It learned who they loved, who they missed, who they regretted losing. Then it spoke with those voices until people willingly followed them into the mist. The island never chases anyone, William said quietly. It waits. He led the survivors deeper inland. Beyond the stone pillars stood a gigantic circular valley hidden beneath dense forest. There, the team finally understood the true purpose of the pillars. Each pillar represented a missing visitor, but they were not graves, they were markers. In the center of the valley stood thousands of silent people, perfectly still, eyes open, breathing, alive. Some wore armor from ancient civilizations, some wore 18th century naval uniforms, others wore modern rescue suits. Their faces showed no fear, no pain, only complete emptiness. Emily recognized several faces from missing person photographs recovered before the expedition. The photographer who vanished yesterday stood among them. So did one of the helicopter pilots from 2023, and a
scientist lost in 1938. None responded when called. None blinked. William lowered his head. They're waiting. For what? No one knows. Suddenly, the ground trembled. The stone pillars began humming. A deep vibration echoed through the valley. The fog rolled between the statues like flowing water. Then, every silent figure turned at exactly the same moment, not toward the explorers, toward the ocean. William's expression changed instantly. It's waking. The sky darkened within seconds. The ocean retreated hundreds of feet from the shoreline. An unnatural silence covered the island. Then, a sound emerged, not from the forest, not from the cliffs, from beneath the island itself. A slow, deep heartbeat. Boom, boom, boom. Each pulse shook the ground. Cracks spread across the valley floor. Ancient stones split apart. The survivors ran. Behind them, the motionless figures remained standing, calmly watching the earth open beneath their feet. Carter, Emily, and the remaining 2 survivors reached the beach. Where the boats had disappeared, one small inflatable raft had mysteriously returned. William refused to board. You still have time. What about you? He smiled. My time ended centuries ago. As the raft drifted away from shore, thick fog swallowed the island once again. The heartbeat faded. The cliffs disappeared. Within minutes, there was nothing, only open Atlantic Ocean. When rescue helicopters finally reached the survivors several hours later, their story was dismissed as trauma-induced hallucination. Modern satellites scanned the reported coordinates for months. Nothing. No island, no cliffs, no stone arch, no trace. Official reports concluded the expedition had become disoriented in severe weather. Case closed, or so everyone believed. Months later, investigators reviewing the expedition's recovered equipment discovered one final piece of footage hidden inside a damaged body camera. The recording lasted only 11 seconds. It showed the survivors leaving the island. Then, just before the camera shut off, the lens accidentally pointed back toward the shoreline. Standing beside William Harris were hundreds of silent people. Every missing explorer, every lost sailor, every forgotten rescue worker. None of them moved, except one. The photographer who had disappeared on the first day slowly lifted his hand and waved goodbye. Frame-by-frame analysis revealed something even stranger. He had not aged a single day. The footage was immediately archived. No explanation was ever accepted. Today, sailors crossing certain parts of the North Atlantic still tell an old warning passed from one generation to another. If the sea suddenly becomes silent, if your compass begins spinning, if someone you lost long ago calls your name in the fog, never answer, because some places are not hidden from humanity. Humanity is being kept away from them. And somewhere beyond the Atlantic mist, if the legends are ever true, Ashveil Island is still waiting for the next visitor, not to hunt